let's get into it. Wave to the people, honey.
Hello.
We're doing an episode today, Sold Not For Sale podcast. This is episode 579.
Wow.
It's another date night. As always, you know, the date nights get pretty informational, you know? So what are we getting into? We're getting into the Bilderberg Group and the World Economic Forum and their unlikely but also very likely connection.
Yeah.
You would think, right? But a lot of people assume that they're connected, and we're finding actual connections that they have via the members, basically. And that's very interesting to me. And as we go through the names, it'll kind of make sense why certain things are happening in the world or have happened over time, past 5 years, let's say 6 years, 20 years even, in reality.
Yeah.
Who knows how many years all of this has been correlating and leading up to. So let's get into that. Where do you want to start, honey?
Well, I think we should start like timeline chronologically, because Bilderberg was founded in 1954. And
Wow.
for those of you who don't know, the Bilderberg Group is quite small collection of very elitist people. And sometimes like they're in government, they're high up in governments, or they're high up in big companies. They have a lot of power typically.
And that's about what, 120, 150 people?
It says up to 150 attendees per year.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're very secretive. They kind of have their meetings all over the world, and they don't announce where it's going to be until like a week or something before.
And just in comparison, World Economic Forum, they have like a few thousand members.
Yeah,
Maybe
they have like
even
massive conferences and stuff.
Yeah, a lot. Like most of the people that you're seeing are either young global leaders. They're on track to be young global leaders. And when I say seeing, when I mean like when you're watching the conferences, when you see the crowds, they're either building up to be young global leaders, they're young global leaders themselves, or they are full-blown members, or they're in the leadership and governance committee that the World Economic Forum has.
Yeah.
So
I hate the term young global leader. It sounds so condescending. Because like these people are adults.
that's, well,
like it's not that like they're like teenagers.
yeah, it's weird to hear the phrase Vladimir Putin was a young global leader.
Yeah, right?
And it's like, wasn't all that long ago. It wasn't like he was 19.
No.
And he was like in his 40s, maybe 30s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just like puts those people down almost. It's strange. It's a weird like hierarchical system.
Which, I mean, when you're talking about Putin, maybe it's like, I feel a little wary about putting him down, you know, on the internet. But when you think about like Justin Trudeau, and he's like a young global leader, you're like, yeah, go ahead and put that guy down.
Yeah, that's funny.
Keep that guy in his place, Klaus.
Yeah, keep the guy down on just a little.
Okay. But before we get into all that, let's get into the store. You know I was going to take you there, where we have the Sold Not For Sale clothing. The one that started it all, first and foremost, Sold Not For Sale. My personal favorite, but also a personal favorite. I can't even decide between the two, really. And this one is perfectly fitting for this episode. Public enemy number one. Google the World Economic Forum, Google Agenda 2030, or just listen to this episode, and you'll understand why he is public enemy number one. But in this episode, he might even be like 2 or 3, something, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of baddies going on.
Yeah, there's a bunch. We also have the certified pure blood shirt for those of you that survived the pandemic, unscathed and untainted. And we have, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the shot heard around the world, Mr. Donald Trump, Mr. 2024, as I like to call him. And we have the newest design, We the People, where that gentleman again is telling us we will own nothing and be happy, and we the people are giving him the one finger salute that he so deserves. All of that's available on IamCoachColin.com, and if you want 10% off of anything you just saw, all you have to do is put in the discount code IamCoachColin. That's all capital letters, that's all one word, and there's one L in the name Colin, and that gets you 10% off. And if you've already done that with us, I can't say it enough. Thank you. Your support is so appreciated. Isn't that right?
Yes, we love it.
All right. Now let's get into it. What were you saying?
Yeah, so Bilderberg was founded in 1954. And they have meetings all over the world. versus the World Economic Forum has meetings only in Davos.
Yes.
Once a year, and they're much kind of larger scale.
I think that's going to change. I think next year is going to be different.
You think they're going to move around? So many people protest.
So many people know, and they're starting because it's on a mountain. It's like high up.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared.
Like a fortress.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like guards everywhere that are like, it's like James Bond type stuff. These guards are like in complete white, so they can blend in with the snow and whatnot. But I think it's getting so publicized that they're going to put it somewhere else. I think so.
It's crazy.
That's just me.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Bilderberg Group was founded in 1954 by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands and Joseph Rettinger. So Prince Bernhard was the consort to the Queen, so Queen Juliana of the Netherlands.
He looks like such a nice guy. Doesn't he? He looks like such a quaint young man. I don't know.
In that picture, maybe. But like in the video we have later, not so much.
Yeah, in the video he like stepped it up. He's like Marlon Brando,
he like
Godfather
got evil
type.
Yes,
you know? Like that's especially with the little flower he has.
Yeah,
we're gonna be showing you the first ever Bilderberg Group meeting.
Yeah,
it's like watching the first episode of the Joe Rogan Experience.
So like I said, they're super duper secretive, so no press are allowed. And some of the Bilderberg rules are that members can talk about anything in that meeting that they can use to their personal advantage, but they can't say where they got the info from. So these people are having kind of closed door talks to further their own situations,
of course,
or that of their country or company or whatever. And very historically, people who have attended Bilderberg meetings have done extremely well post meeting.
What's this gentleman's name again that's on the screen? Joseph.
Is that Joseph Rettinger?
I'm pretty sure it is,
yeah. So Joseph Rettinger was a political advisor to the Vatican, and he actually worked as a spy for them. And he later went on to form...
Say that again, please?
He was a Vatican spy.
Wow.
Yeah, he was crazy. Well, allegedly.
Wow.
But I believe it.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We'll say allegedly.
Yeah, because it's not.
Because how are
proven.
You ever going to find out?
Yeah.
A Vatican? Like,
no, that's the rumor, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was around like World War I and stuff and playing behind the scenes a lot. So he later went on to form the Council of Europe, which turned into today's European Union.
Wow.
So between these two guys, they have the Bilderberg Group and the EU.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
massive.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say. I don't like what they're doing, but it's pretty amazing that you're a spy. Because if you said this about someone else, like you weren't talking about anybody in particular, and you're like, this guy was a spy, and then he formed this, then he formed that, you'd be like, this guy's like John Wick.
Yeah,
you'd be
true.
like, this guy's a badass.
Yeah. Until you realize it actually affects the entire world to this day.
Exactly.
And Prince Bernhard was also listed as a Nazi Party member until 1934.
You mean the World War II bad guys, you mean?
Sorry, yes. I always forget.
We try to keep it
Sorry,
low down, you know. These World War II bad
Those guys, yeah. So he was one of them pre-World War II. And then he went to work for a company called IG Farben, which was a manufacturer of poisonous gas for those bad guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what was it called?
IG Farben.
And they made gas?
Yeah, they manufactured poisonous gas that the bad guys used. Wow.
I feel like Klaus is connected to that, or Klaus's father's connected to that some way.
Maybe. I didn't find that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he had something to do with the gas.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not 100% sure though. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. So the intent of the Bilderberg Group was to create powerful connections between Europe and North America. And it was also said to be a joint project of the British and American intelligence services.
Wow.
Yeah. So they could like communicate overseas and get a better handle on things.
Wow.
Yeah. So they hold very secretive, informal, quote unquote, discussions about global trends, and they host talks. Some of their talks, one of them was called Energy Security and Sustainability, which was led by the CEOs of Shell and BP.
Wow.
Yeah, good. Very unbiased there. And there was another one called Post-Pandemic Health, which was led by the CEOs of Pfizer and GlaxoSmithKline.
I bet there's some guys who go in there and they're just like, Where's the one where we run the world? I don't want to hear about energy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Where's the one where I get what I want?
Yeah, honestly.
They're like, just relax.
Yeah.
Relax.
Relax, Mr. Kissinger.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to hear about energy. Get off the stage.
Yeah, honestly.
Bring Mr. Rothschild. Where is Mr. Rothschild?
Yeah.
I want to hear from Mr. Rothschild immediately. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I can't.
Never been there.
Can't confirm or deny.
Yeah. So they were super secretive all the time. And I don't know why, but they decided in 1974 to have their first and only press conference.
That's the one that we have?
Yeah.
So that wasn't the first one.
It was the first. The first and only.
Wait, that was their first meeting?
No, just first press conference.
Yeah, that's
But the
odd.
first meeting was, 1954, I said?
Yeah. So I wonder why they did choose to...
I don't know. I was trying to look what else was going on in the world.
Maybe they wanted to... Maybe at some point, because I guess we will touch on this eventually when we're talking about Kissinger and Klaus and everything, but maybe they wanted it to be like the way the World Economic Forum is.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're like, we should just have people be able to see. Maybe they wanted to attract members.
Yeah.
You know, like things like that.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Do you want to play that video? It's
Yeah.
all in French, so
Yeah,
I can't personally understand it. But
Yeah, it's in French, guys. I should have reached out to the person who was good enough to translate some other French content for me a few months ago.
honestly, I think this is all going to be just them blowing smoke anyway. They're not going to say anything really of note.
Maybe they're saying everything. Gentlemen, we're going to talk about the elixir of life. We're going to talk about it. But once you choose to live forever, you have to go underground. The lizard people will welcome you. Maybe that's what he's saying.
Maybe.
All right, let's go into it.
Alors, il faut parler un peu plus haut, s'il vous plaît.
Allez-vous avant tout discuter de questions économiques ou avant tout de questions politiques?
Tous les deux.
Toutes les deux.
Tous les deux, ça s'est toujours mélangé toutes les années depuis le commencement que nous faisons ces conférences. Nous avons toujours des sujets politiques et économiques, quelquefois ça c'est un peu mélangé, mais en général on a un sujet politique, un sujet économique.
Est-ce que vous avez un thème précis cette année?
Pas très très bien de votre part, mais nous avons fait une règle depuis le commencement. Et la règle, c'est que de ne pas inviter les membres de la presse qui font leur métier, hein, ni des interviews pendant ou après la conférence, ni de donner les documents, mais nous invitons comme participants toujours membres de la presse qui, avec l'idée que tout ce qu'ils l'entendent et ils participent toujours avec leurs idées dans les discussions, ils peuvent usager ça comme ce qu'on appelle en anglais background information pour les artistes.
I heard an English word for a second. But it basically just goes on like that for about 11 minutes. It's in a playlist that I have on my channel. It's called The Research. You can see the full thing there, and you can get that whole thing broken down. If you understand French, translate it, send it in to me. I will read it word for word as if I'm that gentleman. For better or for worse.
Yeah, but you can tell in that video the guy speaking was Prince Bernhard.
Yes.
And he doesn't look like such a nice guy anymore.
Yeah, he looks, you know what he has? He has that, and here's the thing. I like John Gotti. When you talk about John Gotti's, he was the head of the Gambino family. He had a rise to power that was wild. Just wild. I think they even made a movie about it. He did a lot of things to get to the head of this organization, and most of them were not good. Mm-hmm. He was very loved, so he was allowed to do it, but also where he wasn't loved and he wasn't allowed to do things, he just kind of kicked in the door. And this gentleman looks like him. Like from the glasses to the little, what do you call that, lapel? Little flower there?
Yeah.
From the suit, everything. It's that type of air to him. You know, very, very much so.
And the slicked back hair and everything. Yeah. He's very Godfather-like.
Yeah, after so long, he's probably just like, because he probably was a nice guy back in the day.
Yeah.
And you do what you got to do, and you see this happen and that happen, you know.
And he also accepted like over $1 million bribe from Lockheed.
Yeah. Is that real that on his deathbed he said that?
No, he didn't say it in his deathbed, but the interviews were released after he died.
Oh, okay.
Where he said that he wouldn't be surprised if Lockheed was on his tombstone.
Okay.
Because he denied it his entire life.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And that's real?
That's real.
Really?
Yeah. So this guy really wasn't a good guy.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing with these people, because you often say it. You've often said it to me. Nobody thinks they're like the villain
in their own story.
Yeah. So in his mind, somehow he was doing good things.
I think he just like pictures himself as like a Hugh Hefner type, just
maybe that too.
Wants to control the world.
Well, like that's the thing. Like maybe he feels like this is what's best.
Yeah.
Like people who want to control the world, they have it in their head that they know what's best.
That's true.
It's like when you want to control your kids and your kids are 30.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really want to take away their joy of life, but you're like, I know what's best.
Yeah.
I've been through this. I got all the friends. I've heard all the stories. Just do what I say.
Like my mom telling my sister how to use a knife.
Yeah, right? Like
she gets so mad.
Right? Like it's just you just feel that way. Mm-hmm. It's weird how everybody's brain works. Louis C.K. says something. He said something where he's like, when you see people doing things and you think they're doing that to you, he's like, actually, that's just how their brain works. They can't not do that thing.
Yeah.
They can't not do it. They have to do that thing. He goes, if you start realizing people are like that, he goes, it makes you look at people differently.
It's true.
He's like, they have to do the thing.
Interesting.
Who knows?
So he's one of those guys. He has to do the thing.
Yeah. Sometimes your thing is like, I gotta get only chocolate chip ice cream, and sometimes your thing is like, I need the whole region of the world to communicate so I can tell them what's right, what's wrong. Everybody has their thing.
Well, I guess it depends on your reach too.
That too, right? What you can
Because
control.
you were saying, like if you're like telling your kids what to do, imagine you had a whole country.
Yeah.
That you could tell what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you genuinely think it's best.
Right.
So you'll do whatever it takes to make sure.
Yeah.
That they do the right thing.
Well, and you know what? Like you see that in like the U.S. government right now. You see a lot of that, right? Well, I shouldn't even
Every
say
government.
Well, I was going to say more in the party system. Like both parties are like, I know exactly what to do. We know exactly what's right, and this other side does not know.
Yeah.
They don't get it. If they could see what we were saying, they would understand, but they can't. So we should be in power.
Yeah.
And it just goes like that.
And
forever.
they're warring against each other for the same reason.
Yeah, and it just goes like that.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, when either side wins, things don't get better.
Shocker.
Except when this gentleman stepped in. Yeah. Things got a little better. A lot of black people feel like a lot of things got better. There's a lot of black people like making videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Talking
I remember
about
like when
how
he
much
was
better life got.
True.
Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
When he was running the first time, people would criticize black people for supporting him.
Oh yeah.
And it was like
you'd get
horrible, and women.
Oh yeah. You'd get called all sorts of names.
Yeah.
All sorts of names.
It's crazy.
For trying to support that. You right away the first thing would be self-hate. You hate yourself.
Yeah.
You hate
and
yourself.
your people.
Yeah. If you're supporting him, hate yourself. It was always such nonsense.
Crazy.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
anyway.
I interrupted so much.
So we mentioned The Godfather a little bit, and the actual godfather of Bilderberg is Henry Kissinger. That's what his moniker is. So Henry Kissinger is very, very involved in the U.S. government, and we'll get into him one day deeper, but he's done a lot of kind of nasty things too.
Yeah, I've always just heard the name, but never heard people talk about what he did.
He's just behind a lot of things.
He's just like in there.
Yeah, he has his thumb in everything. Anything kind of war related that might be a little bit morally gray, Henry Kissinger is in there.
Wow. That's interesting.
A lot of countries call him a war criminal.
Really?
Yeah.
Other countries?
Yes. Because of his foreign policy.
Oh. Okay, we'll have to get into
he's
that.
a very morally gray kind of character. But yeah, well, he deserves like his own thing.
Yeah, his own episode.
Yeah, or definitely. Like feel free, guys, like look him up. Tell us what you think of him. He's a funny one. But yeah, so he's called the Godfather of Bilderberg, and he's been attending meetings since 1957. So he only missed I think 3 at the beginning when it was founded. And then there was like a handful of other ones he missed through the years just because of his official duties. But mostly he's pretty much always there.
What a gangster.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know about this Bilderberg thing. They want me to sit down and talk. I don't know. I don't really, I don't feel like I need these guys. One guy's a prince. The other guy's a spy. I know enough spies.
Yeah.
I got enough spies in
I got
my
enough of
life.
my own. Thanks. I don't need another. And he's also accredited to be Klaus Schwab's mentor.
That I found very interesting.
Yeah, right?
That's very, very interesting.
Yeah. So Klaus Schwab, for those of you who don't know, is our public enemy number 1 on our lovely shirts.
Hey, don't say that. Allegedly. That's Dr. Evil.
Okay.
Who
Dr.
knows?
Evil.
It could be anybody. I don't know who that is. I just picked a picture. I don't know.
Picture of a guy. Okay. And he went on to form the WEF, the World Economic Forum, in 1971. So he was formerly a member of Bilderberg.
Who?
Klaus Schwab.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then he resigned out of it?
Yes. So he actually last attended a Bilderberg meeting in 2016. So very recently.
He was a Bilderberg member until 2016.
Yeah. And he was a former member of what they call the Bilderberg Steering Committee, which is like their kind of governing body.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was very high up in Bilderberg and then went on to form the WEF and only stopped going to Bilderberg meetings in 2016. So he's heavily involved in both.
Okay. So he's had a hand in both. He knows
Yeah.
how to steer the ship. And it probably made sense for him to be the one to break off into something else that's more public.
Yeah,
Because it is much more public.
it is.
It's way more inclusive of people.
Yeah, and more members, more everything.
Because it seems like the Bilderberg has more heads of, like more titans of industry and state.
Yeah.
And the World Economic Forum has more of the needed, we'll even say, local government types.
Yeah.
And when I say local in their respect is like prime ministers, prime ministers, presidents, senators.
Yeah.
They have a lot of senators.
There's also a lot of like media people in the WEF.
That as well.
Reporters, anchors, investigative journalists, people like that.
And apparently, in the video clip from the show, they were talking about how independent journalists were allowed into the Bilderberg group meetings, but they're like sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, so what's the point?
Well, I guess. Well, that's the exact question. What would be the point then? I guess the point would be you now have, I don't want to say marching orders, but you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe you should act in accordance because, like you said, a lot of people who are there end up in very high, powerful positions.
True.
So it's like now you're here, you know what arm of industry you affect, which is public opinion. So help out, or
Interesting.
don't come back next year.
Yeah, true.
And you're sworn to secrecy, so you know what that means.
And all the people that own their media companies are probably there.
You would think so. You would think so, right? Mm-hmm. And there's not many of them, right? Like Vice is owned by Shane Smith, but Vice is also owned by Fox, and then that's Rupert Murdoch. And Rupert Murdoch created, I want to say in the range of, I'll say 20 to 40 different media groups.
Yeah.
So they don't need all of those people. They just need him.
Yeah.
If he was even there, I don't know. I don't think he was one of the names on there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. But carrying on with some interesting connections.
Yeah. What else?
So there are Bilderberg co-chairs. And the current Bilderberg co-chairs are Victor Halberstadt. There's not a lot about him online that I could find, other than that he's an economist and he's also involved in the WEF.
Oh,
And
really?
then this lady named Marie-Josée Kravis.
Okay, here. That's her.
Yeah. She's a Canadian businesswoman and philanthropist. And she's also involved in the WEF. And she's married to a gentleman named Henry Kravis. And they've been married since
Jesus.
1994.
Little technical difficulties. Dropping microphones and stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And Henry Kravis is also in both Bilderberg and the WEF. And his father was an oil engineer whose business partner was Joseph P. Kennedy, the father of JFK.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Joseph P. Kennedy is a weird one.
Why is that weird?
Because his sons, and even, what would he be considered, his great nephew, RFK Jr.?
Yeah.
They're great people. They're amazing people. They've been amazing for the country. They have incredible ideals. They speak truth. JFK was very against secret oaths and secret meetings. And the fact that you're saying that his father had ties there, and then he goes and speaks out against it, even shows even more how much resolve he had towards that type of thing. Because in that case, he kind of knows that he's calling out his dad and what his dad's about. And in a way, he's going against what the family's been about for however long.
Yeah.
And that's ballsy. That's a ballsy thing to do.
It's true.
Because it's not like your dad. It's not like, oh, I don't want to be a millwright. You're being like, I don't want to be a part of this weird secret thing that you have going on that runs the world.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. That's a different level.
That is. You can't really opt out of that.
No, usually you can't. Apparently he did.
Interesting.
Apparently, again, I don't know any of these gentlemen.
Yeah.
I know I love what JFK was about. I know I love what he spoke about, but yeah, I can't figure out how to get out of this screen. It's all right. We'll figure it out.
It's okay. We'll just look at her for a while.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few other people who are also part of Bilderberg and the WEF.
Who's that?
So they're very closely related to some big ones that I see at the top here. One of them is Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI.
That's a very interesting one. I was telling you why that's so interesting. Because Elon Musk was involved in OpenAI to begin with. And the reason it's called OpenAI is because Elon Musk wanted it to be open. He wanted it to be open source so everybody could see exactly what the code is, and you could call out things, and you could see everything that was going on. Transparency. And somehow, after he donated, I think, in the range of $100 million, or funded with $100 million, something happened where he wasn't involved because he didn't like the direction they were going in. And the promise of staying open quickly closed as soon as he wasn't involved. And then they went from being OpenAI to being closed AI, but still called OpenAI. And now they're doing everything they are with ChatGPT and AI. And Elon Musk is so against what they're doing. Yeah. So to the point where he's going to fund his own.
That's crazy.
He's about to make his own and make it like a truth one.
AIX.
He's like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's going to be called for sure. Which I think is like his son's exact name, or XAI is his son's name. So
XAI, something like that. It's like XAE.
So the fact that it's such a weird, because people will look at Elon Musk and be like, he's a part of that whole thing. But then at the same time, he's having this tension with somebody who is in the World Economic Forum and in the Bilderberg group. Which kind of shows me that he's not. Yeah. And a lot of people don't think that. They think he's with it all. He's one of the worst, this, that. But at the same time, these people had to kind of go against him. When I say these people, I mean Sam Altman had to go against him. Yeah. So it kind of shows something. And also, Elon Musk had a discrepancy with a gentleman named Larry Page. Larry Page goes hand in hand with Eric Schmidt, who's also World Economic Forum and Bilderberg Group. And the instance that they had where they were having a sleepover. Don't know why. What? They're very grown to be having sleepovers, but they're hanging out. Let's just say, you're grown, you're hanging out. And they had a conversation where Larry Page was saying, if AI takes over, it takes over. Doesn't matter. Like, who cares? It'll be better for us anyway. That's what he was saying. And Elon Musk is like, you sound like you don't care about people. Like, what about people? Yeah. And then Larry Page said, you're a speciesist. Like a racist.
What?
Yeah.
How is that even a thing?
Because he's like, think of it if it was like white and black people. He's like, you have a problem with these people taking over. You're a speciesist. You have a problem with AI taking over. Like,
That's
you're prejudiced.
Crazy.
You're being prejudiced to AI.
That's insane.
And that's what Elon Musk thought. He was like, this is, what are you saying to me right now?
Huh.
And they're still friendly, but they had that banging of the heads. It's just very interesting.
That is weird.
But go ahead. Sorry.
I just have to correct myself real quick because the co-chairs that I found with for the Bilderberg group are, I guess, from 2022, but it was updated in 2023. So my suspicions were right that Henry Kravis was involved because he is now co-chair with his wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're both chairs now.
I would love to pull that picture up for you guys, but our screen is very... I mangled the screen here.
That's okay.
I'm lucky you even have us still.
I'll just call out some other people that are interesting. Would be like CEOs of Shell, Pfizer, Palantir Technologies, like these really big. Google are all members of both WEF and Bilderberg.
And when you said Palantir, you said that was like big data collection?
Yeah, it's massive data analytics, which is a huge kind of up and coming space right now.
So think about that. Think about the guy who's running OpenAI, the person who has this huge database.
Yeah.
And then like the people of Google.
Yeah, insane.
And we always have this, well, I mean, it's not we always, but there's been this thing where it's like OpenAI is like head to head with Google in terms of the AI race to become something bigger. But then when it comes to this closed door meeting, they actually just meet together and they talk. And who knows what they talk about? They can talk about things that benefit both of them.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of a situation where in the 80s, people used to think wrestling was real. And people actually went crazy when they discovered that Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man were out to dinner together. And they were like, how is this happening?
That's so funny.
You guys hate each other. What's going on? Yeah. It messed with a lot of people's brains. They were like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
It's like shock.
And it's the exact same thing with this.
That's
you think
funny.
OpenAI and Google are like head to head, but in reality, they're just like, may the best man win.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Sam. Very good to see you as
That's
well,
so
Eric.
funny.
Shall we have these AI robots do things to us? Yes. That's why I brought them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Dumb joke.
But yeah, there's also a lot of people who are quite high up politicians, including Mark Rutte. I don't know exactly how to say his name, so our Dutch friends, please correct me.
President of...
He is the Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
That... And I just keep going into all these names when I know stuff about them, but that's the gentleman that's been going to war with the farmers.
Yeah.
That has been proposing terrible things, and the farmers have had to stand up to his policies time and time and time again, and they've been making incredible headway, and they have not been backing down at all. But if they lose, it's such a terrible situation for them. They
it's crazy.
lose all their farmland.
They're just forced to sell, basically.
Yeah, forced to sell, basically like the people of Maui, kind of. But they'll be forced to sell, and it's all in the name of carbon.
Yeah.
All of it. Even though they could all convert, and I don't even know how many of them may or may not already do this. They could go to like regenerative farming and not have to sell, and still impact the world in a positive. Because it's a way where it's not as much carbon emissions.
Well, they say like either the farmers have to find a way to cut their emissions, or sell their farms. Yeah. But I always think too, like every business, farming is supply and demand. Mm-hmm. So that means if that many farms are allowed to, are able to survive and sell their products, that means there is a demand for it.
That's right.
So then if that's getting shut down, because mostly they're going after these livestock farmers and cows in particular. Meat, exactly. Mm-hmm. So if they're then shutting that down, is there going to be, are they planning a meat shortage? Which we all kind of think they are anyway.
Well, I mean, that's a part of Agenda 2030, which links back to the World Economic Forum. They have this, well, you've even read it. You're the one that found the article for me.
So that is since deleted? Yeah,
it's gone now. It's hard to find. Patrick Bet-David actually kept it and kept the points, and he actually made a video talking about each point. So
nice.
That's a video I have to actually pull up. But meat is going to be a treat and not a staple of the diet worldwide. So when they're doing stuff like this, and they're going to take away all of these farmers' livelihood and put them in God knows what situation, it's also going to put all those people into that situation.
Yeah.
You know? And it sounds very odd when you bring up Agenda 2030 and the World Economic Forum, but you even see New York trying to do that as well. The mayor actually, my sinuses. The mayor actually is trying to right now, if he's not already doing it, he's trying to have people turn to vegan diets, and they're trying to track people's meat consumption.
Yes.
So
I've heard that, like, you get meat credits or something.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's getting ridiculous.
Go take out a bunch of cash, everyone. Buy your meat with cash.
Buy your meat with cat. Buy a whole cow. Invest in freezers.
Chickens. Got a chicken coop going.
That's what I want.
Feed your children meat.
That's exactly what I want. I want a chicken coop.
I'd love to have chickens.
Right? And have a bunch of them, like 20 of them.
Yeah.
Eggs every day. Nice chickens. And then teach the kids how to slaughter them. Because I'm not doing it. Gross.
No. Of course not. Yeah, but this Mark Root guy was also given over $1 billion from the EU to pay these farmers.
See what I mean?
For their property.
And then the property's gone. On top of all that, and on top of everything we just said, they also lose their property.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
Now that property,
and they've probably had generations.
Yeah, for generations. But now the property is owned by the state.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And from what I know, talking to my friend, my friend who has a Cuban wife, she was talking. He was explaining to me how that's what they did in Cuba, and it was basically. It was sold to them like it's going to be fine. And then once it was all owned by the government, they came back and they're like, hey, listen, you can't, like, we're taking the majority of any profits that come from this farm.
Yeah.
And you get to keep like maybe 5-10%. And if you don't like it, well, like it's Cuba, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, just very interesting that it's happening there. They're trying to make it happen there. And it's happening in the U.S., all over the U.S. Bill Gates is buying up land like crazy. Farmers are getting paid to cut crops, burn crops, throw out milk, all sorts of stuff.
It's crazy.
So, and then that's linked to, in my opinion, because it's like, there's plenty of vegans who are having a great time. Sure, there are. Not really. You think you are. You're supplementing like crazy. If those supplements ran out, what would you do? But everybody will get weak. Everybody will be weak. Not just physically, but mentally as well. Like you'll get your mind will get clouded if you have no meat. You have no meat, no milk, no dairy, no nothing. It's actually a very important thing.
Yeah, your brain is mostly fat.
Yeah,
you need it.
Exactly. Sorry. So go ahead.
Yeah, but there's just a ton of people who are politicians who are both in the Bilderberg Group and the WEF, including like National Security Council directors and CIA heads, like crazy people that are in these meetings.
CIA head, eh?
And just so you guys know, like, these people aren't a secret. So you can literally Google 2023 Bilderberg meeting participants. And on the official website of bilderbergmeetings.org, it shows you every single person.
Oh, isn't this what you gave me? Hold on.
I think so.
I think you sent that to me.
I did. So if you're interested in who's going to these meetings and who's having secretive talks behind our backs, you can go take a look, see if anybody strikes a bell for you. And if you notice any crazy connections, somebody that we don't know, put it in the comments below so we can look into it.
Or just email.
Yeah.
See, like, these are all the names. This is everybody who attended.
Yeah.
This is
the
Lisbon.
2023.
This is what happened May 18th to May 21st.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the names. You see, you got Sam Altman there. You have that lady. What did you? Oh, her name's Haynes. Okay, well.
Avril Haines. Yeah.
She's an interesting one.
She is. Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of interesting characters.
But you know what? They're all interesting.
They are.
Really look at them. But then also they got to where they were because of this meeting. Very much so.
Yeah.
Because didn't Bill Clinton go there as a senator and then like a year later become president?
Yes, that's true. He was senator of Arkansas when he went to his first meeting.
There you go.
And then was president before he attended his second.
Before everybody in the group figured out what a wild boy he was.
I don't think they care. They probably knew. He was probably being wild at their meeting.
Can you imagine? He just came in with a saxophone, sunglasses on, playing the sax,
Yeah.
doing all sorts of things. Is this like Bohemian Grove? We putting on robes? I
Oh
wear
my gosh.
underwear. What's going on, guys? Kissinger, get over here.
Oh my god.
Get over here, Kissinger. You talked to Jeffrey lately?
No.
I brought Jeffrey. Is that okay? Is that okay? He brought the party favors.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of names here.
Yeah, there are a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they're all big names.
I think that one's a big one. Freeland, Chrystia Freeland.
Yeah, Chrystia Freeland is
She's
the deputy prime minister.
of Canada.
Yeah, so
So-
basically like the vice president of Canada.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And then you see the things. You know what you can see in a correlation with most of these people, as we're talking about her, is that their policies towards climate change, towards Jordan Peterson has talked about this a lot, how they're raising energy prices, how it's impacting middle and lower class people, how it could possibly be detrimental to a lot of elderly people, just changing energy prices. And he brings her up, and he actually brings her up and talks about how she's saying, you know, it's good that gas is a certain price for Canadians because it'll be a reminder to them how serious climate change is.
That's crazy.
Wow. Could you imagine?
Meanwhile, we're just trying to heat our house.
Right. Somebody just looking at you and saying it's all right. Just so you know how serious climate change is.
Yeah.
That's like a Eric Schmidt, Google there. That's like a little warning shot of like, you better get in line because we can raise your prices. And you know, it might do something to your livelihood. It might affect you in a way that you don't want to be affected.
Yeah.
It's basically what she's saying there.
And it doesn't affect like
It's a big reminder.
the top 1% at all.
No, not at all.
Because they don't care if energy goes up 1 or 2%.
That's exactly what Jordan Peterson was talking about. He's like, what's going to happen to the elderly people who are on Social Security,
Yeah.
who can't afford for things to just randomly change like that? And it's not just elderly people. There's people our age that can't handle that type of change out of nowhere. There's so many people.
So many people.
And you can see from talking about the farmers, talking about climate change, they're affecting the energy prices and the food supply. That's what it seems like. A little bit.
Yeah.
Allegedly. I don't know.
And the housing market. Everything we need to live, basically.
Exactly. Everything we need to live free.
Yeah.
Because when you have control over, maybe not energy, but when you have control over your food to the point where you can just go down the street and meet a farmer and that transaction just happens privately between the two of you,
Yeah.
it's very necessary for freedom. Very, very necessary. I'm gonna find Jordan Peterson talking about this. He mentions it a few times. He's been very passionate about it. That's why he started that thing called the ARC. They're actually going to be meeting in a month and a half.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They're going to be having their first meeting. It's going to be in London, and they're just going to be discussing ways to work around what the World Economic Forum is doing, basically,
Yeah.
which is a really big endeavor.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, pray for everybody involved in that. Although they do have some questionable members, but it's for a good cause, so it seems pretty on the up and up.
I'd honestly rather they be like if they're all questionable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like regardless of if they're in the ARC or the WEF, they've all done some kind of shady things. I'd rather they be openly what they are instead of trying to hide it.
Well, you know what? That's what Malcolm X was all about. Malcolm X would talk about he would say, be wary of the white liberal, right? He would be like, you should embrace Republicans over liberals. He would say, because, you know, with a Republican, they just kind of tell you exactly what they want. They want to protect their own. They're very upfront about it.
Yeah, they want to protect their interests and their money.
If they don't like you, they'll be like, listen, I don't like you, but we're trying to get this done. We can do it together. Doesn't really matter. Let's just, you know, protect our families, blah, blah, blah. Nation, God, family, all that good stuff. Whereas he had this theory that the white liberal, in his words, he said it would be like a fox. He goes, a fox can show its teeth and make you think that it's smiling at the same time. And he goes, and that's why you have to be very cautious of them, because it can trick you very easily. And I always thought of that. I'd always be like, what do you mean liberals are so, like, because I heard this quote like 15 years ago. I'd be like, liberals are the good people. They're the people that care about black people. They're the, you know, like, all the talking points that black people are fed throughout their lives. And then as I got older, I was like, I'm like, he seems pretty right about it. And then you saw Trump and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's real upfront about what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants. He's not trying to be compassionate to another country, like when we're talking about like the wall being built. Yeah. He's just very much like, we're making this wall. I don't care what happens on the other side of it. And it's like, okay.
Well, that's crazy because he didn't even start the wall either. He just wanted to accelerate the production. That's it, period.
So many people don't know that. It was already being done.
It was already there.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there the way he wanted it. But
no,
it was already
pieces of it.
It was already being something that was done. But nobody looked at Obama and said, "You're racist for building this wall."
Yeah.
As soon as Trump was like, "We have to finish this wall," like he wanted to make it a priority that it has to be done now. Like it has to be finished. And he was like, Mexico's going to pay for it too. He was saying all sorts of stuff. But that's another one of those hypocrisies. Obama would do something and Obama would be praised for it. Trump would be demonized for it. Then when Trump leaves office, anything that he put in place, Biden gets praised for it. And anything that goes wrong, Trump gets demonized for it.
True.
It's very interesting the way they play games with that gentleman.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens in the 2024 election.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We'll see. I don't know who's going to be vice president, but I was leaning towards Vivek or Vivek. So many people correcting me. I get names wrong, okay, guys? Vivek.
Yeah, because we normally read it, so it's like...
I don't talk to the guy, but if I did, I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Vivi.
But I wanted it to be him. But it seems like, from what's going on, because a lot of people now are kind of calling him out about a lot of stuff, saying that he said some things before, and he's seeming like he's kind of flip-flopping. So kind of people are leaning towards. So it might be RFK. Might be RFK Jr., which is also
that'd be crazy.
Incredible, if not even better, in my opinion. So we'll see, because RFK is the only one calling out BlackRock for buying houses. He wants to actually have that stop. He wants people to be able to have a 3% down payment for houses so they can actually afford it.
Yeah.
Because currently, if you have a first home buyer, I think it's called an FHA
loan.
Yeah, that loan, that gets you 3.5%, but it's not always guaranteed for everybody. So he wants to make it even lower, instead of 3%, and it's guaranteed to everybody.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's how it should be. When you look at, because we're looking at stuff, and when you say 20%, you're like, oh my God. Like, this is going to take forever.
Yeah.
But when someone says 3%, you're like, okay, this is doable.
Like, okay, we can do this.
And then the monthly of that, it makes sense, So I like it. I like what's going on. What else do you have in terms of information?
That was pretty much it.
Oh, and then I guess I should just go through the names of the people who were on both. We didn't go through all the names.
No, we didn't. So I actually went through the participant list from the 2022 meeting of Bilderberg Group.
Yeah. And
Googled every single person.
Yeah, just so you know, this is how we got the information. We didn't just find a list. We actually went to those. We went to the big list that I showed you before. Let me see if I can pull that up again. No, where is it? So we went to this big list, went through all the names.
And I searched them on the World Economic Forum website to see if they had a profile.
Exactly. So basically, when you're seeing this list, you're seeing everybody who has a profile on the World Economic Forum website, from...
As well as attending Bilderberg.
Exactly. So from leadership, attendance, agenda, contributions, everything. So Sam Altman, CEO, USA, OpenAI. How do you say that name, honey?
Ben Van Beurden.
Van Beurden, Shell CEO, Netherlands. Alberts, what's that last name?
Borla,
Shell CEO.
No, it's the CEO.
Oh, sorry,
Pfizer.
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. And chairman.
William J. Burns, who's the director of the CIA.
Wow.
Jen Easterly.
Oh, do you have this list too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Director of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Economy, who's the senior advisor for China, Department of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
Chrystia Freeland, who we spoke about, Deputy Prime Minister of Canada.
She has some interesting connections as well. some very interesting connections in her family and whatnot.
Oh,
very
weird.
interesting. I want to verify it because a lot of people just say a lot of things, but I would like to verify her past. It's interesting.
Mary Kay Henry, International President, Service Employees International Union. I hear that's the largest union in the world.
What about Heinz? I added Heinz to the list. Should I not have? Or were we just talking about how interesting she was?
Oh, Haynes?
Yeah, Haynes.
She is
sorry.
on there. This list, because I did this research a while ago, was from 2022's meeting.
Okay.
So she is on as well.
Okay.
Avril Haines.
Yeah.
She's the director of National Security Council right now. So she's the highest up U.S. security person.
Amazing.
Yeah, insane. She's crazy. I should look her up too.
We should do an episode on her.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Like went to like an elite judo school and is a mechanic and a physicist. Insane person.
I don't want to get hurt though. Because she seems like she can personally come over here and hurt
Oh,
us.
for sure. For sure.
Judo expert.
Yeah.
But go ahead, sorry.
Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of Inflection AI, and he's a partner at Greylock.
I've heard that name. I think I've listened to some talks of his.
Maybe. Alex Karp, that's the one that I recognized from Palantir Technologies. That's the big data processing, data analytics company. Sanna Marin, the Finnish Prime Minister. Charles Michel, President of the European Council.
The Prime Minister, is she the young one? Is she,
I think that might be
young?
I don't know who that is. Sanna Marin.
I feel like she's extremely
Oh, she is extremely young. You're right.
right? She looks like she's
For
like
some reason, I thought it was a man. That's a little bit
looks like
sexist of me.
she looks like she's like 28 years
She's
old.
37.
Is she?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's crazy. Good
Really-
for her.
really
Makes sense for Finland, honestly.
Really makes me put my life in perspective. When I hear that. When I hear
know.
Kanye West is like 4 years older than me, I'm like, well, jeez. Good job, buddy. Good going. Go ahead, names.
Michael Mullen, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Didier Reinders.
Didier.
Didier.
He's Didier than Diddy.
Oh my God. This is the European Commissioner for Justice. Mark Rutte, who we spoke about, the Dutch Prime Minister.
Anti-farming man.
Yeah, anti-farm man. Eric E. Schmidt, who's the former CEO and chairman of Google. He's
Yep.
massive.
Oh, yeah.
Kirsten.
I remember him in a talk. Sorry to interrupt. I remember him in a talk saying, our biggest threat in our security, he's like, is the U.S. He's like, they keep trying to hack us.
Wow.
He's like, China's like maybe third, fourth. He's like, but
Really?
The U.S.
The U.S.
is
government?
continuously trying to get into our databases.
Yeah. Which
that
to me
wild?
also means that they're probably the worst at it.
Yeah. Well, I
Because
mean,
if they keep trying and then it's very obvious that they're trying.
well, I mean, Google's just head and shoulders above any country when
Yeah.
it comes to this stuff. I mean, they're ahead in the AI race right now. They're ahead of China. You know, Sam Altman's in the U.S., but the U.S. itself is nowhere near the capabilities in AI as these guys. So they just have so much, so much.
Yeah. Then we have Kirsten Sinema, U.S. Senator. Jens Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO. Mustafa Suleyman, CEO of Inflection AI.
Wow.
Jake Sullivan, who is the former director of National Security Council.
Wow.
And Peter Thiel, president of
Peter
Thiel
Thiel.
Capital.
Peter Thiel, that was an interesting one. I've heard about him. Friends have told me about him for so long, and they're always saying very good things about him.
Really?
How on the ball he is. Yeah, well, you know, I have that friend that's really into like finance and crypto and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And he just talks about him being really on the ball, really on the pulse of things. And I was listening to a talk of the gentleman just now, and I found it interesting that he was talking about a one world government, but he was also talking about how much that has to be fought against and how that can't happen.
Interesting.
He was talking about somebody, this philosopher or scientist or something, that was saying that there's 4 things needed, you know, to fight the existential threats that are happening in the world. And one of them was one world government. And Peter was like very against it. He was like, just so you know, he's not using the word totalitarian, but it's a very totalitarian concept, something that needs to be fought against. I just find it interesting when people are a part of these things, but then also have those views, because you would think that's what they're working towards as they go into these meetings,
True.
you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting list.
Yeah, crazy.
Interesting list of people. So they're
People
very
who
connected.
control the world.
Yeah, they're very connected. They have they're literally their founder was a part of the Bilderberg group, and if anything, you could kind of look at he was part of the steering committee. You can kind of look at the World Economic Forum as a much bigger concept of the steering committee of the Bilderberg group.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Bilderberg group is the steering committee for the WEF.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Well, not really. Like, I mean, when I say it's a steering committee, I mean like steering the world almost, because
Yeah.
the Bilderberg it has these titans of industry, but the World Economic Forum has the senators and like the smaller people of government, and it has so many of them
Yeah.
that it kind of steers the ship. Because I guess you could say the Bilderberg would give marching orders, and the World Economic Forum would be like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
Like we have
Like
the
carry it
people in
out like the
place.
foot soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
What else you got?
No, that was it. They're just very interconnected. They're basically the same thing. One's just a bit more exclusive and secretive.
Yeah. And not really anymore. I mean, people know where they're setting up. There was many protests all over the world. There was about 20 different protests all over the world as soon as they met, and one of them was in Lisbon.
Yeah.
So the people of Lisbon actually protested them meeting there. So they're not as secretive as they'd like to be, but what happens in there is actually very secretive, and most of us will never know.
Yeah.
Never know what goes on in there, unless Sam Altman one day like just pushes a button and everybody's ChatGPT just gets uploaded every single note from the meeting.
That'd be crazy.
He just presses a button and he's just like, I have to end my life now. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's it.
Yeah.
Guys, if you haven't pressed the like button already, press the like button. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, hit subscribe. We're making 1 to 3 videos a day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This was one of the longer ones. If you're with us until this point, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to us. And other than that, we are out.
Bye.